Hi, I'm Kevin Bray. I'm the Director of Development here at Bray Company. At Bray Company, we have a whole slate of real estate services, and we're here to help people that have a means for their housing needs, and that's how we make a living here. So in 2019, even though we've always been known and have been a big contributor to many things in the community, we decided that we wanted to have a focus on housing. So we created the Bray Cares Foundation. The Bray Cares Foundation is really just a way for us to help to provide those same type of services to people that don't have the means. And we do that by collecting funds from our people and from others within the community and giving those out to local housing related nonprofits. So here with me today, I have Cody Kennedy. He's a volunteer housing coordinator for the Grand Valley Resettlement Program. This is one of the nonprofits that we were able to support in 2022. So Cody, maybe you can help us and just tell us a little bit about the Grand Valley Resettlement Program.
Absolutely. So the Grand Valley Resettlement Program was started through a local nonprofit called JDA International, Joint Development Associates. And they have been doing work in northern Afghanistan for probably 2 decades. And they've been based out of Grand Junction. So when Afghanistan fell to the Taliban, all the employees that have been working for JDA doing good work in northern Afghanistan, helping with education, sanitation, modernizing agriculture, those employees and their families were some of the people that JDA helped evacuate. They evacuated actually a lot more people as well. Bringing those families that were already part of that organization back to Grand Junction, hence the Grand Valley Resettlement Program. And bringing those families into Grand Junction, there's probably 300 volunteers across the valley that are involved in this program in helping in all aspects. Helping people understand how to get their kids into school, how to get medical services, how to grocery shop, and really kind of giving these families a soft landing. My role has been to find housing for these families, and in 2022, I helped find housing for over a dozen people through this program. We have a few more families coming in right now we're working on additional housing for. But specifically, one of the things, in addition to the funds, which were greatly appreciated, the challenges that I've had, and everybody's seen this with the housing crisis, with the lack of rental properties available, that type of thing. I'm having problems finding housing, and I have a lot of property managers that won't even call me back. So I think it's worth mentioning that in addition to the funding that we've received from Bray, we've also had a good partnership in providing housing through the property management side of Bray, and actually have that relationship where we can have a conversation about, hey, we're bringing in a family, we're going to guarantee the rent through this nonprofit, but they're not going to have a credit score. You're not going to do a criminal background check. You might have a job reference because the local nonprofit knows them and worked with them, but it's just a non-typical situation, and a lot of people don't want to deal with that, but Bray has, and we appreciate that very much.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we were able to help out on the actually finding the housing, and then the funds went towards helping with the housing.
Yes.
What was it that the funds were used for?
Exactly that. So it goes into the money that's being used to pay for rent, which is the biggest expense right now. There's other things that JVA is doing in the Grand Valley Resettlement Program, but rent is a pretty big part of that. And the families, as they come here, they are very driven, just in the people that they are. They're very independent to get out and on their own and be able to make their own way. And it's awesome to see them doing that and finding jobs and working hard in our community and becoming part of our community. But without being able to find a place to live initially, as Bray has helped them do, how do you even get started?
Yeah, it's amazing. All the supports that you're putting around these people is really amazing. So with this effort, is it ongoing? Do you have current needs? And what do you foresee as future needs for volunteers or financial needs? And how might somebody get a hold of JDA, the Grand Valley Resettlement Program? What's the best way to get involved?
Great questions. So I'll kind of start from the back of that first, but the best way to get involved with the resettlement program is through the JDA website. So log on to your computer, Google JDA International or Grand Valley Resettlement Program, and you'll find a page that's local and talks about some resources there, and you can contact volunteer coordinators through that. Some of the ways that people can help are with volunteering, or if they happen to have a specialized area, like we have people that have medical personnel or people that are involved in our school district that can help with, you know, how people can get their children medical care if they need it, or how they can get their kids into the school system and smoothly transition that. There's people that help teach English, and maybe that's the only language they speak. Maybe they don't speak Dari, but they can help. Maybe they help with logistics or getting people from point A to point B. So there is a lot of different ways that people can help with the program, and it's really exciting to be a part of. And some amazing people have come into our community through this program, and it's just exciting to be a part of that.
That's awesome. Do you have any stories of like people that have come in and they've received some help through your program? Do you have any, like, what do people say? What's their experience?
Oh, it is really exciting. It is really exciting to see the success. There are, and without naming anybody by name, my experience, my interaction coming into homes, and a lot of times since I'm setting up these homes initially, I might be coming to help with something as simple as showing them how a thermostat works, for instance. That happens to be one they're not familiar with. And of course, you always have to schedule extra time because hospitality is part of their culture. And you come in, you're invited to sit down, have tea, put out a plate of nuts and dates, and have some hot tea and have great conversation. One of the things I really find enjoyable is not necessarily talking about the traumatic experience, the time coming out of Afghanistan and when the Taliban was in control and how scary that was, and what it was like to be in the refugee camps. Because that's all fresh and hard, but to talk about what their life was like in Afghanistan prior to all that, so interesting. But as far as the families here, one jumps to mind that's been very successful in a house. They have jobs, kids are in school, they have driver's licenses, cars, and into another. I was talking with one of the new owners of the Meadowlark Gardens out in the Redlands, and they have been fortunate enough to take on one of the one of the people with some great agricultural experience to help in their greenhouse where they're doing growing tomatoes hydroponically, and it's been a very successful integration.
Oh, wow.
So it's just awesome to see not only the social interaction. My wife happens to be with District 51, so I know a little bit about what's happening with the kids in the classrooms. So, and they are just succeeding on so many fronts. So socially, academically, and just with you know, professionally getting jobs, I really see this as a great program where we're going to have a lot of success.
That's just awesome. I have to ask a question though. So you talked about their experience before, and then their integration here. What is it like for the family? Like, what does that look like? They don't get much notice, or do they get notice and then they're quickly moved here to the U.S. and they don't know what their housing is going to be? Like, what does that look like to that family when they're moving here?
Well, these families were already associated with JDA and Bob Hedlund, who's the director, and had relationships with him. So that was the communication piece was smooth, but the transition was very difficult. Very, very difficult. As you can imagine, a lot of things with the government and bureaucracy, and there's a lot of chaos in the world right now, and refugees, and how do we navigate that? And even with the permits, SIVs, the special immigration visas, and the other work permits that are already in place, because these are all legal immigrants, it's very difficult and it's very time consuming. And the refugee camps are people are working really hard out there trying to make lives better, but it's tough. It is very tough from the stories I've heard. So it can be a very long process, a very slow process. We expected to get our families sooner, and there's houses that we were getting in anticipation of somebody coming in right away that have sat empty on occasion for some months before we can get the family settled in. So it's a little bit of, you know, like a slinky effect, that hurry up and then wait. And so it's been a tough process, but there's a lot of people with great hearts that really care about the program, that are working hard to make it happen.
No, that's great. It's what a great program. What a great program that Cody has. So Cody, I want to thank you for all the great work that you're doing with the Grand Valley Resettlement Program, and for allowing us to be able to support your organization now and in the future. If you're looking for ways to support JDI or through the Bray Cares Foundation, you can contact myself at kevinbray@brayandco.com, or reply in the comments here if you have questions, and we'll keep the dialogue going. Thanks again, Cody, for your time.
Thank you.